Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, and this is the Public Health and Safety Committee. I detect a quorum with myself, council members Benton, Bradford, Gregg, Harrell, Huffman, Kimbrough, Nash, Porterfield, and Sepulveda. I would like to go ahead and do, oh, I'm sorry, and I missed Councilmember Weiner. Got you. I would like to go ahead and do items 1 through 8 on a consent agenda. I will go ahead and read these items off, and if anybody, I'll give you a chance to at least look at it and determine if there's anything you want to pull. So item number 1 is RS 2024-337 by Porterfield, Evans, and others. Item number 2, RS 2024-338, Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh. Item 3, RS 2024-339, Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh. Item 4 is RS 2024-340, Porterfield and Evans. Item 5, RS 2024-341 by Porterfield and Evans. Item 6, RS 2024-342 by Porterfield and Evans. Item 7, RS 2024-343 by Porterfield and Evans. Item 8, RS 2024-344 by Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh. Any of those items that need to come off? Hold on just 1 second. Councilmember Huffman, you're recognized.
Item number 1, please.
Item number 1. Okay. Anyone else have anything else that they'd like to pull off my consent agenda? Okay. Oh, Councilmember Kimbrough, hang on just a second. Let me find you. You're recognized.
So if I have questions about something, does this mean I need to pull it off?
I mean, we can go ahead, let's go ahead and pull it off if you've got questions.
Okay, well, 2.
Item number 2. Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else? And we're going to start with item number 3 on consent. This is RS 2024-339 by Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Coupin. Approves an application for an assistance to firefighters grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metropolitan Nashville Fire Department to provide funding for equipment to protect the health and safety of the public and first responder personnel against fire and fire-related hazards. Item number 4 is RS 2024-340 by Porterfield and Evans. Approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and Dickson County by and through the Dickson County Sheriff's Office for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Item number 5, RS 2024-341 by Porterfield and Evans, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and the City of Cookeville by and through the Cookeville Police Department for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Item number 6, RS 2024-342 by Porterfield and Evans, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and Williamson County by and through the Williamson County Sheriff's Office for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Item number 7, RS 2024-343 by Porterfield and Evans, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department and the City of Spring Hill, acting by and through the Spring Hill Police Department for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. Item number 8, RS 2024-344 by Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh, approves an application for a Project Safe Neighborhoods grant from the Tennessee Department of Finance and Administration to the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to reduce gun-related violence in Nashville by providing funding for overtime for the investigation of violent crimes involving guns. Do I have a motion? All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, you recommend approval. Okay, now we're going to go back up to item number 1. This is RS 2024-337, Porterfield, Evans, Welsh, and Coupin, approves the subrecipient agreement by and between the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency, MDHA, and the Metropolitan Office of Homeless Services for one-time payments of first month's rent and security utility deposits on behalf of homeless persons obtaining housing through various campaigns. Do I have a motion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Huffman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Just have a few questions for the Office of Homeless Services. Thank you very much for being here again, and thanks for entertaining my questions last night in Budget and Finance. The questions that I have are really centered around the selection process So before I get into specific questions, I was hopeful that you could give a broad overview of what that selection process looks like.
Thank you. I'll give you the simplified version of it because obviously I'm not a coordinated entry person. But I did speak to them today in anticipation of this meeting. The clients that come through this program are referred by the service providers in the community, and they do come through the coordinated entry program. Our coordinated entry program, as you know, we are the CE lead, the coordinated entry lead for the COC of Nashville. Any choosing throughout that process is done using the VASPDAT, which is a vulnerability index. And that's how everybody is rated, and the whole system is qualified based on that process. And then there is a form after they get referred through, into the process. There is a form that they have to fill out, and then they are processed by our coordinated entry team, and then they coordinate with the landlord. So a landlord has to be a vendor or become a vendor to receive payments from Metro, of course. And I think Chairwoman Evans last night mentioned one of her constituents that, the landlord couldn't accept a payment or wouldn't. And I'd be happy to connect her constituent with our team so they can figure out what's going on with that.
Councilmember Huffman.
Yep, thank you very much. Just a quick follow-up, continuing along the selection process. So once that's made and someone gets into their new home, apartment, whatever it is what's that next step look like from a continuation of ensuring that that person is okay? And what I'm driving with that is everybody that's homeless is typically homeless for a different reason. They could be dealing with a mental health issue. They could be dealing with substance abuse. They could be dealing with a lot of things. And I'm just curious if there's any thought in regards to a caseworker being assigned to individuals to follow up to their specific needs.
Well, as you know, that we are called a housing first city, and the second most important part of that is once they're in permanent supportive housing is the wraparound supportive services. I agree totally. I think the whole concept of putting somebody in a home, that's been homeless for any amount of time and just putting them into an empty apartment is not going to work. So the supportive services is a crucial part of that.
And the last question, this takes care of the initial fees, but is there any consideration from the Office of Homeless Services around if a particular individual or a family has trouble funding future months' payments, and what does that look like?
I think a lot of these clients receive a voucher, so that helps them pay the rent and the bills. But I can get more information on that if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Great, thank
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Councilmember Kimbrough.
Thank you. And I believe Councilman Huffman asked a lot of the questions that I wanted to answer, but I'm still unclear. My concern is, of course, you just in practical terms, you have somebody out for 1 month who clearly is having some type of financial issue to begin with, to be homeless. I'm just wondering how much help that really is, because in my mind, I see somebody paying a month's rent for someone, and maybe utilities or whatever, and then the next month come, and I guess they're facing eviction. Should I be asking her? Okay. Well, maybe, okay, so then they're facing eviction. One question is, and I don't know, I'm just asking, can you help more than 1 month? Can they get more than 1 month? And if not, what happens the other, and I believe that's what he was asking, but I'm just wondering what happens the other 11th month?
Well, that's a great question because that sounds like we would be setting them up for failure. But there are Section 8 vouchers and other forms of subsidies that they'll get. I don't think we would ever put them in an apartment, and you can speak more to this, you know.
Hi, sorry I'm late. Director Calvin, the Office of Homeless Services. And I think the big question here is what happens next. For us, definitely we want to make sure that when they're moving into housing, there's a subsidy attached. And that could be Section 8, Shelter Plus Care, emergency housing choice vouchers, or a lot of the agencies we partner with, they receive federal funds called rapid rehousing funds, other continuum of care funds where they're responsible for paying their rent for an extended amount of time as well. So this is just to help with this fund is really just to help with getting them into the place because a lot of the rapid rehousing or the vouchers don't come with that. This is the gap in service delivery, not the ongoing rent.
So like for Section 8, you're saying they don't give you the money for like the first month?
Section 8 vouchers does not come with first month's rent or deposit. And so this funding source that he's speaking on is actually the gap in it's like the last bit that's needed to connect that unhoused individual to permanent housing.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, you recommend approval. Okay, let's move on to item number 2, which is RS 2024-338 by Porterfield, Evans, and Welsh. Approves amendments to the grant contract between the Metro Office of Family Safety and the Mary Parish Center. Do I have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Don't call out your colleagues. First rule in Metro Council. You were wanting to speak on or ask questions about item number 2.
Is that what you wanted?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. question.
Yes, I just feel free to be recognized. Go for it.
All right. I wanted to ask about the grant between the Metro Office of Family Safety and the Mary Parish Center. Now, I'm asking you now, right now. I'm just, so this is a grant that they already have, and we're just saying, okay, is that it?
Would you, Director Darby, could you speak to that? Because I don't have any of my
Okay.
materials in front of me to give you a little bit more color commentary on that. Oh,
There's some,
there you go.
it is an amendment to an existing grant that changes the amount of the grant amount. It was 120,000 and now it will be 170,000. And it extends the term of the grant to September 30, 2024.
Okay, and this is a grant from somewhere outside Metro. Is that right?
I am not sure. This is a grant from the Office of Family Safety to the Mary Parish Center, and someone is here from the Office of Family Safety who might be able to expand on that.
Yes, ma'am. If you could identify yourself for the public.
Hello, my name is LaToya Townsend, Deputy Director of Development for the Office of Family Safety. This is an amended contract to the Mary Parish Center, extending the term and changing the amount. There was a typo in the initial contract for more than 170. So we are correcting the award amount to be 170,000, as well as Chairwoman Evans said, extending the term of that contract through September 30th. So they're not really receiving any more funding. It's just correcting the contract and extending the term.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Townsend. Any other discussion on this item? Okay, let's go ahead and move forward with the vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, you recommend approval. Okay, let's go to item Number 9, this is RS 2024-351 by Coopin, Horton, and Huffman, a resolution requesting that certain departments of the Metropolitan Government provide a comprehensive analysis of recommended changes to increase the safety, security, housing resources for the unhoused and cleanliness of the properties surrounding the Cumberland River within the downtown interstate loop. And first of all, can we get a motion? All right, it's been moved and seconded. I will recognize our sponsor, Councilmember Coopin.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for recognizing me, even though I'm not on this wonderful committee. This is a bill that is a comprehensive multi-departmental bill looking at the Cumberland River from a number of different directions in a kind of shorter scale in light of Riley Strain's disappearance and death along the Cumberland River, and then the other individual who fell down there. But then from a bigger picture, I've been working on challenges like this since the beginning of my term. And I know it's been worked on since before I was here as well, as far as it pertains to litter and housing and other challenges along the riverfront. Wanted to get it filed for this meeting, but there's a couple of departmental questions that have come up, and my goal is to make this a collaborative approach. So at the request of a few different departments, we're deferring it one meeting. We've got some comprehensive meetings going on in between now and then, and hope to bring it back next meeting for approval. So I would like to ask someone on the committee to move for a one-meeting deferral, please.
All right, it's been moved for a one-meeting deferral, properly seconded. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, anyone not voting? Thank you. And then our last agenda item is a late filed resolution from Porterfield, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Human Relations Commission, or MHRC, to approve Melody Fowler Green as appropriate counsel on an hourly fee basis for additional representation of the MHRC in connection with a Title VI complaint against the Metropolitan Arts Commission. And Councilwoman Porterfield, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move for approval, please.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second? We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Councilmember Prepti, hang on one second if I can find you. All right, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the sponsor, thank you for bringing this. Maybe this might be a question that we can consult Metro Legal on, but is there a reason that Metro Legal is not providing representation in this specific instance with a Metro agency, and I'll yield.
Councilman or Director Darby.
The complaint is directed at the Metropolitan Government, and when that happens, the code allows for the HRC to engage outside counsel. The legal department felt that they had a conflict in this instance and has recommended outside counsel be engaged.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on this item? All right, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone not voting? All right, you recommend approval. Okay, I've got a couple quick things, and I wanted to recognize some of the departments that I had followed up with after our last meeting. I guess the first person I'd like to call to the podium is Deputy Chief Gilder. And I invited Deputy Chief Gilder to, with all the hubbub around Vanderbilt, the discussion around, MNPD's powers that are granted to Vanderbilt Police. And so I wanted Deputy Chief to be able to explain how that works and take any questions that anyone has. So Deputy Chief, let me turn on the podium. All right, there you go.
Thank you. So the Vanderbilt Police Department which is a private university, is empowered to employ and commission police officers pursuant to state code. There's actually a state law that applies to both public universities and then certain private universities, and Vanderbilt fits within that criteria. In order to do that, they have to obtain a special police commission from the local law enforcement, head of local law enforcement, and that's by virtue of a state code that empowers the chief of police to do that, and also the Metro Charter allows the chief of police to do that as well. There's some other provisions in there that in the state's code that say, that the local government body is immune from suit, and also the agency, the private university, has to submit a liability bond in order to be in compliance with the statute. So Vanderbilt is overseeing their police department, just like all the other law enforcement agencies in the state are overseen by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, POST. That's who certifies law enforcement in Tennessee. And so they're required to meet those same standards as MMPD officers are for both hiring and retention. The Special Police Commission is contingent upon them meeting those requirements. If they don't, then the commission would be rescinded or not issued at all in the first place. They are also obligated to follow the department manual that the MMPD follows, all our policies and procedures with respect to that apply to them. By statute and agreement, they also have police jurisdiction over their properties, which is, their campus, the hospital, 100 Oaks, and a few outlying places like the Dyer Observatory. And then they have jurisdiction on the roadways contiguous to those properties. They have their own chain of command, their own chief of police, and they're also, just like the Metro Police Department, they're accredited by CALEA and TALEA, which are state and international accrediting agencies. And then we've got an MOU with them that we've had in place for years, sets forth that stuff. And then just other things that may come up, for instance, what happens if a Metro police officer responds to the scene where there's a Vanderbilt police officer who has control over the scene and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the overview.
Okay, I appreciate you sharing all that information. Is there anybody in the committee that has questions? Councilmember Prepti, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for that, Chief Gilder. Definitely very, very helpful. My question doesn't necessarily pertain to Vanderbilt or Vanderbilt PD. It's more about the other law enforcement agencies that operate within the county. So with our satellite cities, I know Berry Hill has its own police force, and I believe Forest Hills as well. Are the satellite cities that have police forces required to go through this authorization process similar to Vandy PD, or is it something completely separate?
No, they're not required to go through that because they are a local government body, and they're able to go through just directly commission law enforcement agencies. Forest Hill does not have a police force, though. Berry Hill does, yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion by anyone on the committee? Okay.
Thank you.
Deputy Chief, thank you. Is anyone from Metro Health here? Okay, I do not see anybody. I had quite a long list for Metro Health, so I'll at least share the questions that I wanted to have asked of the Health Department. First thing is the Health Department is hosting a behavioral health summit coming up at the end of April. We're all supposed to be invited, and we should be seeing a flyer about that particular summit coming soon that will also be posted, on the council calendar of events. I had sent some follow-up questions to the Health Department around the opioid settlement funding and what we can expect to see and the timing around the opioid settlement. And so that is one item. I'd also followed up related to the community safety and violence prevention initiatives. Unfortunately, in the transition from the health department or from the mayor's office to the health department, every employee that was under the Cooper administration is now gone. So the health department is not operating with a violence manager at this time. And the only other employee that was working on these initiatives directly was Anthony Johnson, who has transitioned to the Community Review Board. So I'd asked for an update around that office, that department in particular, but also around the Department of Justice grant that we approved at the beginning of the term, and kind of what's the transitional plan around that Department of Justice grant, which was valued, I believe, at around $2 million. And then lastly, I had wanted to follow up related to the community safety initiatives from last term, how much funding remains as part of those initiatives. And these were all the grants, that were funded as we transition from Public Safety Committee to adding public health in, and it operated from Jennifer Gamble all the way to the end of Jeff Syracuse in the fourth year of our term. So I wanted the health department to provide the official updates on those items as well. So I'm going to save these for our next meeting, so that way we can talk about those. Also on May the 7th, we will hear an update on the REACH program at our committee meeting. And so that was something that we, were able to get started with Nashville Fire and Health as more of a pilot in Madison last term. So we're going to hear a little bit more about that. And Mark Young, do you have any updates that you need to share? No? Okay. Any other department that is under the public health and safety purview have anything you need to share with the world or the 5 people that are watching right now? Okay. Well, with that, I will bring this meeting to a conclusion, and I appreciate your time, and we're adjourned.